Ever wish you could read someone's mind?
Yeah.
Like really know what they're thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You might be closer to that than you think.
It's wild what they're doing these days.
And today's deep dive is taking us to the edge of that research.
The cutting edge, absolutely.
It's called NeuroLM.
NeuroLM, yeah. It's pretty incredible. We're talking AI that can basically
Vertically and brainwaves.
understand brainwaves, yeah. Almost like
Like a code?
decoding a secret language.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, before we go full science fiction here,
Yeah.
let's break this down. We've got research papers, we've got notes, we've got all kinds of stuff on this NeuroLM thing. What's the big picture?
The big picture is this is going to change how we understand brain signals.
Okay.
We're talking AI and this technology called EEG, electroencephalogram,
EEG.
to get a glimpse into how our brains work.
EEG. I've heard of that before.
Yeah.
I feel like that's those little sensors they stick on your head to measure the electrical activity. I've even seen, like, you can control stuff with your mind using that.
Exactly.
Right.
EEG has been around for a while.
Oh, okay.
It's used in things like analyzing your sleep, detecting seizures, even helping people control prosthetic limbs.
So if it's already doing all that,
Yeah.
what makes this NeuroLM so different? What makes it so special?
The key difference is that NeuroLM treats brainwaves like a language.
Okay.
So like if you were learning a new language,
Yeah.
you need to break down the words and sentences, understand the grammar, the syntax, all that.
Got
That's what NeuroLM does with brainwaves.
So it's like a translator for our brains.
Yeah,
Instead of just seeing like a jumble of electrical signals, it's like, I
exactly.
can make sense of them.
Make sense of them.
Whoa.
That's where the AI magic comes in.
Okay.
NeuroLM is trained on massive amounts of EEG data, learns to recognize patterns and relationships in the signals. It's like learning the grammar of our brains.
Okay. So if our brainwaves are like a language, does that mean this thing can understand what I'm thinking right now?
Not quite.
Oh, okay.
It's not reading your thoughts like a book.
Right.
It's more like recognizing patterns of activity
Okay.
that correspond to different
Mental states,
states of mind, yeah.
emotions.
Emotions, even intentions, potentially.
Okay. So not mind reading, but
No.
getting closer to understanding the language of the brain.
Yeah.
This is where it gets really interesting for me.
It's huge.
Because this is the kind of stuff that could change
Yeah.
how we interact with
Totally.
technology, each other.
Absolutely. The possibilities are mind-blowing. We're talking brain-computer interfaces that are seamless,
Whoa.
intuitive. Imagine controlling devices with your thoughts.
Oh.
Diagnosing medical conditions.
Earlier.
More accurately.
Wow.
Even helping people regain movement.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Lots to unpack here, but before we jump ahead too far,
Sure.
let's go back to how this thing actually works.
Yeah.
Like
the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, the nuts and bolts. It's treating brainwaves like a language, but how does it do that?
It's kind of like, imagine a chef taking a complex dish and breaking it down into
Ingredients.
all the different ingredients. That's kind of what NeuroLM does with brainwaves. Uses something called a neural tokenizer.
Neural tokenizer.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty technical.
It's pretty clever.
Just go on there.
So it takes the raw EEG data, chops it up into little pieces.
Like sentences?
Kind of like separating a sentence into words. And then it analyzes each chunk,
Okay.
looks at the timing and the frequency of the brainwaves, and turns it all into a code
A code.
that the AI can understand.
So like a
Almost like a secret language.
secret language.
Yeah, only the AI knows how to read.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier that EEG signals can be
Right.
noisy and different for everyone.
Absolutely.
How does it deal with that?
That's where the sheer scale of the training data comes in. So imagine training a language translator on a library.
Oh, wow.
Filled with books from all over the world, different genres, different writing styles, dialects.
Yeah.
The more it sees, the better it gets at understanding the nuances
Language.
of language.
Exactly. So they're training it on a ton of data from different people.
Tons of data. NeuroLM was trained on something like 25,000 hours
25,000 hours?
of EEG data.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of brain activity.
Wow.
And this large-scale training helps it to learn the common patterns and the underlying rules of brain activity.
Regardless of like individual variations.
Right.
Wow. So it's not just memorizing patterns. It's like,
It's learning something deeper
it's learning, yeah.
about how our brains actually work.
You mentioned something before called multi-channel autoregressive pre-training.
Yeah.
What is that?
Think of it like learning a new dance routine.
Okay.
You need to know not just the steps, but the order, the timing, the sequence of each movement. It allows it to do something similar
With brainwaves.
with brainwaves.
So instead of just looking at like signals from one area of the brain,
Right.
it's looking at how all those different areas are
Interacting
with each other
over time.
over time.
Yeah, you got it.
Wow.
Exactly.
So it can see how like one part of the brain is triggering something somewhere else
Yeah.
a few milliseconds later.
It's like figuring out
Cause and effect.
cause and effect within this complex system.
That's incredible.
And that's what makes NeuroLM so powerful. It's not learning specific patterns for specific tasks.
Right.
It's developing a fundamental understanding.
It's learning how to think like a brain.
Kinda, yeah.
That's amazing.
It's seeing the whole picture, not just the isolated parts.
Okay, so this is all fascinating, but
Yeah.
how do we know it actually works?
Right.
Do they test it?
They did, and that's where things get even more interesting. They tested NeuroLM on 6 different data sets. 6 different data sets, each designed to assess its performance on a specific task, like detecting abnormalities, recognizing emotions.
Okay, so they gave it these tests. How did it do?
Let's start with the one focused on abnormal brain activity.
Okay.
NeuroLM was able to correctly identify these abnormalities with over 78% accuracy.
78.
Which is comparable to some of the leading AI models out there.
Wow, so it's like an AI neurologist.
Yeah,
that can just spot
that's the signs
in your brainwaves.
Yeah.
What about the other tests?
Another one was even more challenging. They had to distinguish between 6 different types of brain events.
6?
6. Things like seizures, eye movements, even just the brain's background activity.
Wow.
This one really tested its multitasking abilities.
How'd it do?
It actually outperformed several existing methods.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But then they took it even further.
Okay.
They challenged NeuroLM with something kind of sci-fi.
Ooh, what's that?
Recognizing human emotions.
Wait.
Yeah.
They were testing if it could tell how someone was feeling.
Based on brainwaves, yeah.
That's incredible.
It's not quite mind reading,
right,
but it's a step in that direction.
It's getting close.
While not perfect, it was able to tell the difference between positive, negative, and neutral emotions pretty accurately.
So it can spot abnormalities, it can categorize different brain activities, and it can even pick up on emotions.
Yeah. And there's more.
What else can this thing do?
They also used a data set focused on sleep.
Sleep.
NeuroLM had to identify the different stages of sleep.
Oh, wow.
You know, wakefulness, light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep.
Yeah.
And get this, it actually outperformed some of the best methods out there for sleep stage classification.
So you're saying that this AI could be better at analyzing your sleep?
Potentially.
Than current methods?
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That could lead to life.
No, absolutely.
Some incredible sleep therapies, right?
Personalized sleep therapy.
Based on your brain.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's wild, but here's what's even more impressive.
Okay.
They never specifically trained it to do any of these tasks.
What?
It learned all of this just from being trained on this massive data set of general brain activity.
So it's not just a specialist. It's like...
It's a generalist.
Yeah.
It can apply its knowledge broadly.
This is mind-boggling.
It is pretty amazing.
What does this mean for the future?
Imagine a world where your smartwatch, equipped with a tiny EEG sensor, powered by NeuroLM, could detect signs of a stroke hours before you even feel anything.
Wow.
Or think about the possibilities for people with disabilities.
Yeah.
We could see brain-computer interfaces that let them control prosthetic limbs seamlessly.
Communicate just with their minds.
Exactly. It's a paradigm shift.
A whole new way of...
how we understand and interact with our brains.
Yeah.
NeuroLM is still early.
Of course.
But it's a glimpse into a future where technology might help us unlock our minds.
That's amazing. This has been an incredible deep dive.
It's fascinating stuff.
I'm sure our listener has a lot to think about now.
Absolutely.
Where can they learn more about this?
We'll include a link to the research paper in the show notes.
Great. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of brain-computer interfaces. Until next time, keep those brainwaves flowing.